What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the June 15th movie collection update, the summer edition. For this update, I tried to find as many movies, some blind buys, some stuff that's been on my wish list. I wanted to create an update that had a big summer vibe to it, to ring in the season, ring in summertime. It's June 15th, still early enough to enjoy all the summer festivities. So similar to how I did it last year, I wanted to try to make this update all about the summer. So without further ado, here we go with Wet Hot American Summer. Now this is one that I had always heard about, I'd always seen the cover, but I had never seen this before. So this was a first time watch. I know this has a huge cult following. I think it had some Netflix specials and follow-ups. And overall I did enjoy it pretty decently. It's very, it's definitely in bad taste. It's the type of comedy that you would not be able to make nowadays. Maybe it's in like a similar vein to It's Always Sunny, because every character in here is completely unlikable and a moron, and all the humor just comes from bad things happening. But it's funny. It's a parody. It's a spoof movie about summer camp and all those types of 80s tropes. There's a lot of Loverboy on the soundtrack, which made me laugh. Young Paul Rudd in there playing one of the douchiest characters of the movie, so fun to see. So that's Wet Hot American Summer. I enjoyed it for my first time watch. And to go along with that, this, just judging by the plot, sounded like it would be a fun summertime watch, even though I had never seen it before. But the plot sounded familiar, but I'm like, hey, maybe it'll be fun. And that's Adventureland. I've never been a Jesse Eisenberg fan. I do need to admit that right off the bat. So Adventureland, it's a coming-of-age drama. It really did not do that much for me. If you want to see this exact movie done much, much better, watch The Way, Way Back. That is this same movie, essentially, but done so much better. This was just kind of boring, and I don't get with these types of things, like, why these coming-of-age movies where they go to the amusement park, so like this, and then there's one called Ping Pong Summer. Why are they all period pieces set in the 80s? Like, can't we make a story like this that's timely, even though The Way, Way Back was not set in the 80s, but I think it was originally supposed to be, so I don't know why they chased that vibe for these, but yeah, this one, watch The Way, Way Back. I mean, that one, Ryan Reynolds has a cool character in it. I liked him in it, but the story and just the fact that I'm not a Jesse Eisenberg fan, that just did not really grab me. Now, this one was meant to be in the last update, but for some reason, none of the stores by me were carrying this one on release day, so I had to order it online. So this got pushed back to this update, so I'm a little behind in showing it, but we have Jason Statham in The Beekeeper, which is a movie I saw twice in the theater. Once was on a date, funnily enough. But even though this came out in January, it's a total summer action, fun fest. And this is great. I love it. I saw it twice. My enjoyment level held up each time. One of which was on a date when I saw this, and she really enjoyed it, so that was kind of a funny evening. Jason Statham is playing such a character you would expect him to play. It's so mindless, it's so over the top, it's so just crazy and silly and violent, but it's so much fun. I love The Beekeeper, and from what I understand, the movie did pretty well, so hopefully we get more of these, we get more sequels to this. The only thing that I hate, like, you go on YouTube, you can find so many interviews and press kits and behind-the-scenes stuff with the cast, the crew. There's a lot out there. There's 0 extras on this Blu-ray. 0. It's like, come on. Why? You couldn't have taken that stuff from YouTube that's there. Those press kits, those junkets, and just thrown them on here. Like, not even a commentary or anything. That's a little disappointing. But that aside, the movie itself is a blast. And if you're a physical media person who likes action movies, it's definitely worth owning. This is not a January movie. Not at all. And I'm a guy who loves good, obscure, weird documentaries. So if it's on a really obscure, specific subject, I'm more likely to buy it, to see what it is. In one of these updates a couple of years ago, I showed off when I bought a documentary all about the $2 bill, and it was shockingly interesting. So I love chasing stuff like that. Just weird, obscure documentaries that you know are going to be entertaining just for how bizarre the subject matter is. And this fell into that category, and I'm a guy, obviously, I love retro aesthetics, I love vintage looks, vintage buildings, and I always say with my friends, whenever we go into a bowling alleys and roller rinks are the two places that are perpetually stuck in the past. Primarily due to, like, when you walk in and you're in certain areas outside of the lanes or outside of the rink, you have that textile heavy carpet. It's usually dark and stuff like that. Type of carpet just screams that. Well, someone had the bright idea of finding the people who manufacture said carpet and doing this whole documentary about it called Carpet Cowboys. And I said, okay, I need to see this just so I could see what the hell is it? Like what? And this is a strange documentary. The people, it's literal cowboys that it revolves around, and it's just so bizarre. Just these people and their quirks, and like the one guy has all these rocks, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we're hillbillies down in Georgia making the carpet." Like the way they talk about themselves, it's just like, what the hell? So this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, though. It's just so random and specific. It's like, it's impossible not to be like kind of enthralling to learn more about this, just because it's like, okay, this is a very odd thing. This is one of the partner labels of Vinegar Syndrome, who I really don't buy a lot from anymore, just because, I mean, their output is just not that great. They put a lot of care and effort into their releases. I just wish they were releasing better movies. This is from one of their partner labels called Memory, I think it. Yeah, Memory. So I don't know what else they do, but if it's more stuff like this, sign me up. Now this one I got on DVD a few years ago, and I'm so happy it finally came to Blu-ray and 4K now, because I love this. This became one of my favorites when I saw it like 2 or so years ago, and so when Arrow Video announced it, I had to pick up Mute Witness on Blu-ray. This is a Blu-ray version I got. Blu-ray 4K, it doesn't really make a difference. I don't have a 4K player. I don't have a 4K TV yet, so I mean, I'm fine with just Blu-ray for now. Besides, when you do have a 4K TV, Blu-ray 4K, it's not that different, so, because I've been at other people's houses, and I'm like, it's, yeah, whatever. But this movie is excellent. It's a total Alfred Hitchcock type noir film made in the 90s in Russia, so it just has this style to it and this vibe that I love. There's thrills, there's suspense, there's horror, there's a lot of comedy in it. It's just a total entertaining film experience, and I love Mute Witness. I watched it with the commentary already with the director. If you've never seen Mute Witness, Arrow Video, definitely pick this up, because this is definitely worth your time. Love that one. And this one, foreign films are hit or miss. I've shown a few here in the past. A lot of them, weirdly enough, I've got a lot of luck with French films. He Loves Me Not is one that I love. Dial Code Santa Claus is a French film that I love. I do really enjoy Run Lola Run, but that's German. But we have a French film here that just sounded interesting called Taxi. And this apparently has like 5 sequels, one of which has a cameo by Sylvester Stallone in that. Like, so this is a whole franchise in France that I was not privy to. I just saw the Blu-ray of this first one, the 25th anniversary edition. It's French with subtitles, but when I watch foreign films, that's how I prefer to do it, because the dubbing on a lot of these can just be kind of distracting. And this was fun. This was a fun adrenaline thrill ride. Very, kind of Fast and Furious-y in nature, but I think this might have actually come first, no? Yeah, 1997, it says. So that, It's basically this guy, total hot rodder, that has a decked out taxi that could do a multitude of things, and they gotta bust these terrorists. And like, it's ridiculous, but it's so much fun. I greatly enjoyed this. So I don't know if there are subtitled versions of any of the sequels, because like I said, there's 5 or 6 of these. And I saw online, I think it's the 3rd one that has Sylvester Stallone in a scene. It's like, so if these are available with English subtitles, I will gladly seek the rest of this series out, or however long they stay good, I don't know. But yeah, this was a blast. If you don't mind subtitles and stuff, it's a very fun action comedy. Very fun. Now we've got 2 Kino Lorber titles here. I love Kino Lorber. I always pick up these obscure releases, even though sometimes the movies aren't the greatest, but I just something about the Kino brand, and they've put out a lot of gems that I really respect them for. So the 2 that we have here are Death Machine and Big Man on Campus. We'll start with Death Machine, directed by Stephen Norrington, most known for doing Blade, as well as the film he did after Blade called The Last Minute, which I feel like nobody knows about, but it's one of the craziest movies I've ever seen. The thing with Stephen Norrington is, no matter what the movie is, all of them just have these total cyberpunk aesthetics to them. He had that in Blade, he had that in The Last Minute, and he definitely has that here in Death Machine. Which, there's 3 cuts of the movie. There's the 100-minute US cut, there's the 122-minute foreign cut, and then there's the 106-minute director's cut, which I watched that one, and I watched the 100-minute US, so I kind of went through 2 of the 3. I like the music better in the US cut, and honestly, I think that's probably the best one. Just 100 minutes. The movie does have a few lulls in it where it's like, all right, come on. Because it's a familiar story. It's a siege-type movie. They're all in the building, and there's this crazy death machine just going around the halls, knocking them all down and killing everyone. And it's okay. It's entertaining enough. This movie's carried by Brad Dourif. Brad Dourif has this entire thing on his shoulders. He's the reason to watch this. He's crazy. He's over the top. And that Stephen Norrington style is all over it. So visually, it's great. As well as with the music. That's why I like the music better of the US cut than I do with the director's cut. And I have not watched the 122-minute foreign cut, just because it's like, I already thought the movie felt too long, and since that version is like 20 minutes longer, like, I don't know what's in there, but it's probably useless. But all in all, it's a pretty decent sci-fi thriller. It's nothing too memorable. It's mainly worth it for the style and Brad Dourif, because, you know, Stephen Norrington was definitely a very talented director. I wish he would come back and do more. But yeah, that's Death Machine. And then this one just didn't... It's a fish out of water comedy that just didn't really do much for me, sad to say, because I think prior to this, it had never even been on DVD. I think it was trapped on VHS, and they finally gave it a Blu-ray, so I'm like, oh, maybe this will be a gem. Not really. Big Man on Campus. It's just a fish out of water comedy. Just watch Back to School. Now this one, I caught the last 10 minutes on TV because I was at someone's house who had antenna TV. And when you flip through channels on antenna TV, it doesn't show you, there's no information, it doesn't show you what's on. But I flipped onto some channel and this was on, and I caught the last 10 minutes, and I go, what the hell is this crazy movie? I need to see. There's a guy with an afro that's huge, and it was crazy. Did a little bit of research, took some pictures, and came to find out this movie was Car Wash. It's written by Joel Schumacher, which, that's funny, because he definitely has the seeds planted here for what would later be DC Cab, which is one of my favorite comedies of the 80s period. Love DC Cab. This is not as good as DC Cab, but you could definitely see how the seeds were there for what Joel Schumacher would write with that. This is heavily advertised on Richard Pryor and George Carlin. Don't get your hopes up for the two of them, as they both have, between the two of them, they just have minutes of screen time. But don't let that dissuade you, because it's a very fun thing. It's one of those movies, there's really not a strong overarching story. It's just a slice of life, a day in the lives of these car wash employees during the course of a workday, and just the shenanigans that happen. And I love movies like that, and it's so drenched in the 70s. Like, the 70s of this is so strong. It's just the movies you don't get anymore, those hangout movies, whether it's something like Friday or Empire Records in the 90s. That's what this is to the 70s. And you just don't get stuff like this anymore. And it's fun. It's silly, but it takes itself the right amount of serious. The only thing I don't like, they had... Danny DeVito was in this movie, but his scenes got deleted. You can find them on YouTube. They're in low quality, but the Danny DeVito deleted scenes are there. For some reason, Shout Factory was not able to include those on here, and I'm not sure why. I would have liked to see a full version of the movie, but oh well. It's still a very entertaining watch, and if you like the 70s, if you dig those old, just hangout, vintage vibes that you get from movies like this that you just cannot replicate nowadays, yeah, Car Wash is great. I had a lot of fun with it. And I've been trying to collect more of these label releases, and this one is the Vestron Video Collector Series, which I have a few of. I have Extreme Prejudice, Little Monsters, The Wraith, yeah, a couple of them. So I thought, oh, well, I like Jamie Lee Curtis, I like cop thrillers, let's see how this one is. Blue Steel, which I had never even heard of prior to this. And as far as a stalker, thriller, cop movie goes, a borderline home invasion with the way it's templated. This one's okay. The main problem I have with this is that they make Jamie Lee Curtis's character such an idiot. And, I mean, Ron Silver is your bad guy. He's always good. He's definitely more psychotic here, because usually he's just a dick. But here he's like a psycho, so it's fun to see Ron Silver really getting into that role. And there's a scene where he's just lathering blood all over himself. Like, it's really bizarre and peculiar. But it's one of those things, it's annoying because every single character in this is a complete dumbass. Nobody acts like real people, and Jamie Lee Curtis especially is a moron. There's so many times every event of this movie could have been avoided, but you know, the script had to go this way, so... But I still enjoyed it more than I didn't. It was still an above-average cop thriller. Would have liked maybe a little bit more on the ending to it, but yeah, that's Blue Steel. And I do love me some old, like, badass 60s guys, you know, taking on a mission. I love Kelly's Heroes. I love Where Eagles Dare, the Clint Eastwood movies. So it was only a matter of time before I finally had to sit down and watch The Dirty Dozen, which was great. It's a long movie. It's 2.5 hours long, but you spend a lot of time with the characters. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of building up to the finale where they storm this castle that gets pretty violent. There's some pretty wicked imagery. If you're into the older actors like this, though, you cannot get a cast better than Lee Marvin, Ernest Borgnine, Charles Bronson, Jim Brown, John Cassavetes, George Kennedy, Clint Walker, and, of course, my man, Telly Savalas, who plays, again, an unhinged psycho in The Dirty Dozen. So, I mean, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. It reminds me of watching TV with my grandma when I was a kid, so... Some badass, you know, these were the true badasses of cinema, too. Like, these guys, that's where it was at. And this Blu-ray also includes the sequel, the TV movie, The Dirty Dozen, Next Mission, which I also watched. It's got Ken Wall and Sonny Landham in it, with Lee Marvin and Ernest Borgnine coming back. It's okay. It's basically what you would expect a TV movie version sequel to this would look like. And then there's 2 more sequels where Telly Savalas comes back as a different character. So maybe I'll check those out. I don't know, but this was a good time, a good historical look back at the good old days of this badass cinema that, again, you just cannot replicate this style of movie anymore. All right, then. Next up, we have a 2-pack, and I mainly got this one for one of the movies, because I thought, well, I like both of those actors, and that looks like it would be a fun summer movie, so I'll get that. It's a double feature of Holy Man with Eddie Murphy, which I have not watched yet. I've heard it's not very good. And Gone Fishin' with Joe Pesci and Danny Glover, both of Lethal Weapon series fame. And I gotta tell you, Gone Fishin' has a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. You'll be hard-pressed to find any positive review of it out there anywhere. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me or what's wrong with everyone else. I had a blast watching Gone Fishin'. It's just shenanigans and slapstick humor, and everything that can go wrong will go wrong. But there's no piss jokes, there's no fart jokes or anything like that. It's just Joe Pesci and Danny Glover as these bumbling best friends that just get themselves into a bunch of trouble. 4% on Rotten Tomatoes, my ass, because I had a lot of fun watching that. I was laughing, I was into it, I couldn't wait to see what shenanigans came up next, because it keeps topping itself. The entirety of the movie, just each shenanigan goes from 0 to 11, and it's fun just to see what madness is going to happen next. From runaway boats, to trains, to blowing up hotels, to Willie Nelson seemingly playing God in it. It's Gone Fishing is my kind of chaos, and I had a lot of fun, not even in an ironic way. I thought it legitimately worked as a fun family comedy. Sue me, guys. I had fun. Now, this one I heard a lot about, and it was getting a lot of good marks, and it has, I like these siege movies where you're kind of stuck in one location, although by the end, that's not really what this is. It's called Your Lucky Day, and it's about people in a convenience store that are kind of fighting over this winning lottery ticket when a robber comes in, and I thought this sucked. I've heard a lot of positive things. A lot of people like this. I know one of the main actors, Angus Cloud, a lot of people are upset because he passed away. Obviously, Angus Cloud, rest in peace. He died way too young that he did not deserve. I could not stand him in this movie. I'm sorry. He's, yo, motherfucker, I'm Angus Cloud, motherfucker. Now let's get this shit going. And from what I understand, that's pretty much how he is in every movie and in real life. That was just his demeanor. And I could not stand him in this. And all the reviews I was reading that were positive were talking about how he was such a talent and you really feel for him. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And nobody else in here is memorable. The third act completely destroys everything that was built up, and the story just goes in these really stupid directions. Like, I hated this. I thought this one sucked. So, Your Lucky Day, well, the day I sat down to watch it was my unlucky day, because this sucked. Alright, we're getting there, guys. We got 2 from the Warner Archive collection. I got these with a nice sale. It's weird, this one, like, I pre-ordered it, and then it, like, went right out of print, because it was really hard to get, and I don't know why. Money Talks with Chris Tucker and Charlie Sheen. It was a first-time viewing, and pretty fun, you know, buddy movie, kind of a precursor to what Chris Tucker would do with Rush Hour. It's a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I think it would have been a lot better if Charlie Sheen was that character was cast with someone else. Because Charlie Sheen just did not fit. He was just very... They needed someone more charismatic in that role. I just did not feel Charlie Sheen in this movie. Especially from the amount of energy that Chris Tucker is giving this. Pairing him with Charlie Sheen, I don't know. Charlie Sheen didn't seem like the right fit to me. But the movie as a whole was very entertaining. I like the showdown in the stadium. There's some clever stuff in here, even if it's nothing too original. You know, it's one of those movies, you've seen this before. This doesn't do anything better than you've seen before, but it doesn't really do anything bad, with the exception, you know, of Charlie Sheen's character, because he just doesn't seem to fit for me in this. And not that I have a problem with Charlie Sheen, because I do like him in a lot of stuff. I don't know, just the dynamic of him and Chris Tucker just seemed weird. But Tucker carries this. He drags it on his shoulders. Much like Brad Dourif with Death Machine, this is Chris Tucker's show, all in all. And for the Gary Busey collection, and to fulfill my love of 70s car movies, we got the Gumball Rally. Not quite as fun as the Cannonball Run, But it's got a great cast, a lot of car shenanigans, and Gary Busey. So, it is what it is. And my dad used to have this in a DVD double feature with Cannonball Run 2, but I never watched that. So this was my first time seeing it. Got it for the Gary Busey collection and for my 70s car movie collection, which is a subgenre I have. I've got a whole 70s vehicle mayhem thing going, so had to get that. Okay, we've got 3 DVDs left, and these first 2 I got purely for the summer theme that I'm trying to go for with this. All first-time viewings. We got Captain Ron, and just to say, I'm like, seeing Kurt Russell like this, and this tagline, I'm like, okay, that's got to be something. Even though I admittedly am not a fan of Martin Short, again, I think this movie would have benefited if it was... I kept picturing this as John Ritter. I think this would have been great if it was John Ritter and Kurt Russell, just because I do not like Martin Short, and I never have. I'm sorry. Kurt Russell's a lot of fun in this. I love the whole banner with him and the son, like he's giving the son beer and all this careless stuff. And considering this is a Touchstone Pictures movie, it's technically a Disney movie where children are served alcohol. So that's, they're probably trying to bury this one nowadays. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but, you get your schlocky entertainment value out of it. And then this I had never heard of. I just saw this cover and I looked at the cast and I said, good God, that looks like the most 90s thing in existence. Which it is. It's definitely up there. Halle Berry and James Belushi in Race the Sun. Based on a true story from this Hawaiian school that competed in this competition, building a solar-powered car for a race. It's a 90s kid movie. It's a 90s family movie. It almost had shades of like a Cool Runnings type structure, only here it's in Hawaii and it's solar cars. Everyone's wearing Hawaiian shirts. I said, okay, if I'm doing a summer update, I took one look at this cover and I said, okay, I need to see that for my summer. And, it's a kid's movie. It's a family movie. The story's really light, but there's a charm to it. Because I grew up watching movies from the 90s, like whether it be Cool Runnings or whether it be Little Giants is one that I always loved. Rookie of the Year, that era. And this one, it's a little lighter on characters and stuff than those, because it does kind of go through the motions, but it does it in a charming enough way. And crazy enough, this is a very early role for Steve Zahn, playing the German villain, which I'm watching this and I'm like, what the hell is he doing in this? And what is that accent? So it's Race the Sun. There's a lot of enjoyment to be had. And for the Gary Busey collection, we had Gumball Rally. Well, every update, I now do the Kevin Bacon part of the collection as well. So I got James Wan's Death Sentence. It's a very well-made movie. It's very gritty. It's very grimy. It has a vibe similar to that of Running Scared with Paul Walker, which is a movie I enjoy more than this, for the record. I think Running Scared is phenomenal. It's a revenge movie, but it's a movie where the moral is you should not go for revenge. That revenge is only going to kill you as much as it is the people you're going after. Which, I don't know. I mean, for what Kevin Bacon goes through in this movie, it's just... Like, I get the moral, I get the point that the movie was trying to get across, but it doesn't really make for that satisfying of a viewing experience, and it just leaves you feeling kind of dour about the whole thing, which I guess is kind of the point of but... Like, it's okay. It was Garrett Hedlund as the villain. I didn't even recognize him at first. He is phenomenal as this skinhead. Weird little role for John Goodman in there. And obviously Kevin Bacon is always great. He does have some genuinely good emotional scenes in this as his character undergoes several transformations throughout it. But I thought it was too serious for its own good. And yeah, and James Wan, he's a good director. There's a scene in this that he would later recreate in Furious 7, which I thought was funny to see. But if you like your grimy, gritty action movies, and Kevin Bacon, you should like this. It's just more of a serious, well, and by the time the movie's over, you're just kind of like, there's better ones out there. Like, if you want to watch a movie like this, my opinion, watch Running Scared with Paul Walker. So that is my summer movie update for June 15th. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you are all having a wonderful start to your summer. If you have vacations planned, time with the family. I should hopefully have more news soon on that documentary series about John Wayne Gacy. I know I've been plugging away at that the whole year so far. We're looking at a release early fall, late summer, early fall for that. So when I do the next update in August, because I typically do these every 2 months, I should have some definitive word for you on that. So stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoyed the update, and we will see you all very soon. Talk to you later.